In Lisa the First, it's revealed that the titular character has had an awful life caused by the immoral perversions of her own father. The game details the internal struggle she undergoes when attempting to forget the haunting memory of this trauma. The game takes place entirely in the head of Lisa, and the entire environment of the world, from the people she meets, the environment she explores, and even the monsters she sees, are all projections of her thoughts towards numerous facets of her life in the outside world, influenced by the hardships she suffered at the hands of her father. By exploring this environment, we get the opportunity to understand her thoughts and feelings towards the people around her, her way of life, and quite possibly herself. Take, for instance, her father. In the real world, Lisa has suffered from the perversions of Marty, and when Lisa internalizes this suffering, it warps her perception of him. She doesn't see her father as only a man anymore. There are times when she sees him as a twisted monstrosity, a warped mutant, and even a grotesque spider, bringing up feelings of disgust, revulsion, and even horror, all of which are sourced from how she truly feels about him. But these negative feelings not only affect how Lisa sees Marty, it influences the environment around him and the symbols associated with him as well. There's a town that Lisa comes across in the game where some of the mutated Martys make their home, and this town is completely covered in filth and excrement. Appropriately named the Bile Town, it has a noxious atmosphere that chokes the plant life and taints the water, a side effect of the Marty monsters that dwell here and the sickening feelings Lisa gets from them. But the monster Martys may not be the only source of Lisa's feelings. Throughout the game, Marty is associated with a cross, a symbol of Christian faith, indicating Lisa associates the religion of Christianity with her father. And crosses are also heavily prevalent throughout the Bile Town, accompanying the monsters. This means the filth that covers the town represents the sickness she feels not only towards her father, but towards his faith as well, as the evils Marty has Lisa endure has warped her perception of Christianity, believing it to be a religion celebrated only by monsters. Another area of the game named the Blank Road shares similarities to the Bile Town. Disfigured Marty monsters reside in vaguely familiar settings throughout a red wasteland filled with pools of muck and dead or dying plants. Like the Bile Town, Lisa's feelings towards the monster she sees her father as reflects on the environment around him. But there's a key difference in the Blank Road that makes it unique. It doesn't start off as this blasted wasteland. When Lisa first enters its area, it's a vast white space filled with clear ponds and vibrant plant life, much less oppressive to its counterpart. And in this peaceful field, Marty himself is different. Instead of resembling a monster, he's standing in a nice suit with his rosy cheeks shining brightly as a smile stretches across his face. And when Lisa approaches him, a little heart appears over his head. All of this is a stark difference to the blasted wasteland filled with monsters it eventually ends up becoming. And the degradation of the room could be indicative of the deterioration of Lisa's psyche, brought on by the abuse she suffered at her father's hands. The initial setting of the room represents how she was before the abuse, the white background symbolizing her innocence, the clear water her purity, the plants and trees of the life that filled her, and the adorable portrayal of Marty is the immense love felt between the two. She was happy, full of life, and surrounded by love. But all of it changes. She loses her innocence, changing the background to a blood red color, and the clear water of the pond fills with grime as the horror of what has become her life contaminates her thoughts and self-esteem. The life that filled her decays and dies, and the man she trusted and loved mutates into a monster. The evil this young girl experienced changes her life from a happy, loving one to a tortured one, full of pain and suffering. This change in the Blank Road is brought about after Lisa walks between two statues, and these statues are interesting. Statues are usually erected to commemorate a great person or an honorable achievement, but the stance of these statues doesn't seem to be one of dignity. No, it looks like it's being defensive or recoiling in fear at some unknown danger. And due to being a statue, it's immobilized, stuck in its terror. Almost like it's trapped. The statues also have no face, no identity. They're blank slates meant to be filled in by the observer. And since the game takes place entirely in the mind of Lisa, there's only one person that observes it. Thus, these statues could be a physical manifestation of Lisa's feeling of entrapment. There's even a moment in which one of these statues lives through Lisa's torture. There's a statue that Lisa comes across that is described as having a slot in its groin, a receptacle that draws comparison to female genitalia. In order to proceed, Lisa needs to fill that receptacle with a sword, a phallic symbol of power. Though the statue recoils in fear from the weapon, it's trapped and forced to endure the deed done upon it until the end. It's a stand-in for the molestation of Lisa from her father's hands, and her feeling that she can't escape it. The idea that Lisa is unable to escape Marty chases her throughout the entire game, all the way through to the end. And coming to this point, it's interesting that the game has two endings. Both end with Lisa clambering around a void whilst the memory of her trauma haunts her every step. But there is one significant difference between them. One presents itself as the end, while the other presents itself as game over. And when you consider the implications of these words, they symbolize two different things. One message, the one presenting itself as the end, simply signifies the story has reached its endpoint and its final message delivered. Lisa will live the rest of her life unable to escape the memory of what's happened to her. But what happens after this message is delivered isn't known, nor can be inferred. There could be numerous possibilities in the way things continue in the aftermath of the story. But the other message, the game over one, is something that's unique to video games and gives an ultimate finality to Lisa's story. Consider the words for a moment. Game over. When do you get a game over in video games? Well, most commonly, it's when you die. With these two simple words, the game symbolizes a grim end to its unhappy story. Lisa's life has ended. These are a few ways Lisa the First indirectly tells its story and develops its characters. This subtle storytelling helps flesh out the thoughts of the characters in a way that isn't intrusive, and really helps craft compelling characters that are easy to sympathize with. And that's pretty much it. I really appreciate the time you spent watching the video, and I really hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or thoughts or anything, feel free to share. I'd be happy to hear from you. Until next time, thank you for watching, and see you later.